Recording in progress.
Okay, so what did we discuss last week? Creation. Yeah. The topic is, does God exist? Yeah. Um, so we talked about how faith on God can vary, from person to person, and depending on circumstances. So if you ask somebody, do you believe in God? Some people will say, yes, I believe in God. So what are some of the reasons why people believe in God?
It's because maybe something that they prayed for came true, and they feel like, yes, there is somebody taking care of them.
So when they see the results, they get faith and they believe in God. Okay, that's good.
Ultimately, the circumstances turn out that people start believing that not everything is in their hand.
Yeah. Okay, so when people try by themselves in the material world, and when they realize that all of their attempts are very futile, they're not getting what they want. They want to control things, but they're not able to control. They want to, achieve something, they're not able to achieve. They want to become happy, they're not becoming happy. So when they realize that their attempts are futile, then they turn to God.
Very hard to achieve something and you never achieve that. But
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even try and it's very easily it comes to you.
Yeah. So Ravi and Monica, if Monica is also with you. So what are some of the reasons why people believe in God?
I agree that there must be some higher power that build all this. It's just like I think we talked about in one of the previous session that uh, so many beautiful things can't just exist by themselves. There has to be somebody who created all that.
Okay. Yeah. When somebody looks at the beautiful things in the world, they're curious to know about the creator. They're curious to to see who has created this. Okay, that's a good point. um, so many times we see people believe in God uh, when they are in distress. That's one category where majority of the people in the material world fit into. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 classes of people who come to God. Artho jignashur artharti jnani cha bharatarshava. What are the 4 categories? Artha, one who is in distress, and then Artha, one who is seeking wealth, and third class is Jignasa, people who are curious. They just want to know about God, as Ravi mentioned, right? When they look at beautiful things in the material world, they're curious to know who has created this. They're curious to know who is God. They're not really interested in God, but they're just curious. Okay, for example, when you see a beautiful painting, you want to know more about that artist who painted. Mona Lisa painting, when you see that, you want to know who has created that. You want to know the name, and you want to know where that person lives. You want to know what are the other paintings that artist has painted, and details like that. Similarly, when a person looks at beautiful things in the material world, they are just curious, jignasa. They're just curious to know about that person. Or everybody is talking about God, so let me also find out who God is. So that person may not be in distress. He has everything in the world. So he has all the wealth, he has the beauty, he has power, he has all the comforts. He has not seen any distress. Life is going on very smoothly for him. Yet, because everybody is talking about God, this person develops some curiosity to know about God. Okay, jignasa. That is the third category. The fourth category is jnani, a person who wants to cultivate knowledge about God. Okay, the difference between jignasa and jnani is jignasa is just some curiosity. They want to know God at the surface level. They don't want to go in deep. They don't want to go in depth and know more about God, but just curious. Whereas Jnani, they want to cultivate knowledge about God. They want to know more about God. They want to know more in depth about God, the qualities of God. How does the abode of God looks like. They want to know all these
Curiosity
details.
can convert into seeking knowledge.
Yeah, eventually the jignasa person can become a jnani. Yes, when they know, when they know some higher level details of God, that can develop more interest, and they can know more about God. Yeah. So these are the four classes of people, but among these four classes of people, majority of the people in the society fit into the first category, artha. They are called artha bhaktas, people who are in distress. Okay, artha, artha, jignasa, and jnani. Okay. So, and we discussed last week how our faith can be shaky when people do not know the definition of God, when people do not know who God is, even though they believe in God, but when they don't know the details of God, the definition of God, where does God reside, what are His qualities, huh? What's the criteria for somebody to be called as God? Is God one or many? Unless one has knowledge about these things, their faith is not solidified. And when their faith is not solidified, when they meet some atheist, or when they meet uh, a person who is a Mayavadi means impersonalist, people who believe in impersonal form of God. So when they meet somebody like that, and in their discussions, so this person who is a theist, who believes in God, who is in the personal form of God, they can be challenged, and then they can lose faith. Okay, so it's important to have this knowledge about who God is, what's the criteria for for somebody to be called as God, all those things. Okay, so once there was a there is a small story of a brahmana and a cobbler. Okay, so in a village there was a brahmana and a cobbler. So once Narada Muni, you all know Narada Muni, right? So Narada Muni is a transcendental spaceman. Okay, just like Spider-Man and Superman. So how Superman can go up the buildings, even high-rise buildings, just like that, Narada Muni, he's a transcendental spaceman. He can travel across the three worlds, the upper planetary system, middle planetary system, and lower planetary system. Svargaloka, Bhuloka, and Patalaloka. So he can travel across the three planetary systems whenever he wants, very freely. He doesn't need any visa. so, so once Narada Muni happens to go to this village where this cobbler and Brahmana lives. So first, Narada Muni goes to the Brahmana, and after talking with the Brahmana for some time, the Brahmana asks Narada Muni, where are you going now? Narada Muni says, I'm going to see my Lord. I'm going to Vaikuntha to see my Lord. Then the Brahmana asks Narada Muni, can you ask your Lord, when will I go back to Vaikuntha, or spiritual world? Narada Muni says, yes, I'll ask him, and when I come back, I'll tell you what the Lord has responded. Then after some time, Narada Muni meets the cobbler. The cobbler also asks the same question. O Sadhu, can you please ask our Lord, when will I go back to spiritual world? Then Narada Muni says, yes, I'll ask, and I'll report back here. Narada Muni goes to Vaikuntha and then asks Mahavishnu. So I met with these two people in this village, and they both asked when will they come back to spiritual world. Mahavishnu says, when you go back to that village again, tell the Brahmana that the Brahmana will take several lifetimes to come back to spiritual world. and tell to the cobbler that he will come back to the spiritual world in this lifetime only. So Narada Muni is surprised, because Brahmana means is supposed to be a learned person, right? So Narada Muni thinks that Brahmana will go to spiritual world in this lifetime only, and then cobbler, he's a Shudra, he's working as a servant. He may not have learnt about God, he doesn't have any knowledge about God. So how will he go back to spiritual world in this lifetime? So he's puzzled. But he just comes to so before leaving spiritual world, Narada Muni asked Mahavishnu. So if if Brahmana and cobbler ask what the Lord is doing when you met with them, when you met with the Lord, then Mahavishnu tells Narada Muni that just tell those two people that I am threading a big elephant through the eye of the needle. I am threading an elephant, a huge gigantic elephant, through the eye of a needle. Narada Muni comes back to this village and he meets with the Brahmana, and then tells him that my Lord Mahavishnu told that you're not going to come to spiritual world in this lifetime, but you will take several lifetimes to go back to spiritual world. Then the Brahmana gets angry. He gets angry. He says that, oh, I'm a very learned person. I have been reading Shastras for several years. All of my life, I have been doing so many pujas and austerities, tapas, fire sacrifices, this and that. I have read all the 4 Vedas. So how can the Lord say that I'm going to take several lifetimes to go back to spiritual world? Probably, I really doubt. Probably you did not meet the Lord. You are just making up some story. So I don't believe you. So how do I believe you that you actually met with the Lord? So tell me, what was the Lord doing when you met with him? Then Narada Muni says the same thing. The Lord was threading a gigantic elephant through the eye of the needle. Then this Brahmana laughs at him and says that, come on, you are kidding. How can anybody thread a gigantic elephant through the eye of the needle? People find it so difficult to thread even a normal thread through the eye of the needle. We see in India, right? People really struggle so much to insert thread into the eye of the needle. So then Narada Muni actually understood why Mahavishnu told that Brahmana is going to take several lifetimes to go back to spiritual world. Then he goes to the cobbler. Narada Muni goes to the cobbler. And Narada Muni tells the same thing to cobbler, saying that my Lord Mahavishnu told that you will go back to spiritual world in this lifetime only. And Narada Muni, and as soon as Narada Muni said this to the cobbler is very happy. And he says, oh, I am very grateful to my Lord for giving me this opportunity to come back to spiritual world in this lifetime only. And Narada Muni is even more puzzled. He asks the cobbler, did you believe what I said? The Lord said, you're going to come back to spiritual world in this lifetime. Did you actually believe that? Then the cobbler said, yes, I do believe. I do believe in your words. Then Narada Muni says, you're a Shudra. You are working in this business of, cobbler, making shoes for others. You have not read Shastra. You have not learned anything. You do not know anything about God. And when I say that you are going back to spiritual world in this lifetime, how can you believe? I believe in the words of sadhu. I believe in God and I believe in the words of sadhu also. So whatever you said must be true only. Then Narada Muni asked the cobbler, so you actually believe that I met with the Lord? And then cobbler says, yes. And Narada Muni only asks, O cobbler, do you know what the Lord was doing when I met with him? Cobbler says, no, I don't know. Please tell me what what my Lord was doing when you met with him. Narada Muni says, your Lord was threading a huge, gigantic elephant through the eye of the needle. Then the cobbler says, yes, my Lord is great. He can do anything. He can make anything possible. He can make the impossible possible. And Narada Muni understood everything. That this cobbler, even though he has not read Shastra, he does not have knowledge about God, but his faith is so strong that God can do anything. And Narada Muni asks the cobbler, hey, how can you believe that the God can thread a gigantic elephant through the eye of the needle? Is that even possible? Is that even humanly possible? Then the cobbler says, oh sadhu, right now I'm sitting under this huge banyan tree. Now we know, right, how huge a banyan tree can become. There is a village in South India, in Andhra Pradesh, where a banyan tree has actually spanned across several kilometers. The branches of the banyan tree have spanned across several kilometers. It's gigantic, it's very huge. So this cobbler says, I'm sitting under the banyan tree. When my Lord can put such a gigantic tree in a small seed, why can't he thread the gigantic elephant through the eye of the needle? He can do it. My God is great. He can do anything. So then Narada Muni understood everything. And so basically, what does this story tell us? It tells us that faith on God is more important than our ability to read Shastras, our ability to learn shlokas, our ability to quote shlokas. Faith on God is more important than all the austerities and anything else. The Brahmana, he did so many austerities, tapas and pujas. He read Shastras, but more important than that is faith on God. Okay, so this faith, it's not binary, right? It's not 0 or 1. It's a gradual thing. So we start with little faith. It's called Atau Shraddha. The Sanskrit word for little faith or initial faith is called Atau Shraddha. So there are several stages in bhakti that are described. Atau Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Nishta, Asakti, Ruchi, Bhava and Prema. These are the different stages in bhakti. It starts with Atau Shraddha, that means little faith. We start with little faith in God, saying that, okay, God exists. Maybe God exists. Let me give a try. Let me give a chance to Bhagavad Gita. Okay, I'm struggling in my life. I have tried so many things. Everything has been so futile. All my attempts have been so futile. Let me give a chance to Bhagavad Gita. So when somebody starts with that little faith, then they can progress. Okay, so let's continue where we stopped.
That is what has happened, I think. Like, people have studied so much
Mm-hmm.
that their factual mind has actually overtaken their faith in people or anything. They try to reason everything, but
Yeah,
forget to put faith in the right thing.
yeah,
In anything for that matter.
yeah. Actually, bhakti is very simple. Bhakti is very simple, but people want to make it very hard. For example, if if Neha teaches difficult yoga poses, then people like it, because when I'm doing something difficult, when I'm working hard, that means it is substantial. It's tangible. I'll get some tangible results. Or in order to achieve any great thing in life, we must work hard. We must, we must put a great endeavor, and any great thing is not achievable very easily. That's what people think.
That's so true. And
Yeah.
when I teach breathing exercises, people are like, why do we have to do this?
Yeah.
what's the point? But actually, breathing exercises are so important to help you get into difficult postures.
Yeah.
Without them, you're not able to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's so true.
Yeah.
People think when it's difficult, it's better.
It's
Like,
better.
That's when they are challenged. But
Yeah.
when it's simple, they feel like, what's the point of
Yeah, your mind does not accept.
Exactly.
Because as Abhilash said, we are always questioning with logic and reasoning. When things are so simple, we don't accept them.
Right.
If somebody asks you where is your nose, you can point like this. You don't have to go around and then come back and then point to your nose.
Right.
It's as simple as just pointing to your nose. Bhakti is so simple, but we complicate it, and people uh, people are very interested in practicing other types of yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, the difficult 8 limb processes of ashtanga yoga, yama, niyama, asana, dharana, pratyahara, samadhi, dhyana, samadhi, all those things. But bhakti is as simple as just chanting, sitting and chanting. Our bhakti is as simple as coming to the temple and taking darshan of the Lord, offering some prayers in front of the Lord, and eating some prasadam, thinking of God.
Just got like, you ask me where is your nose? Why is he asking for my nose? Does he not know where my nose is? Is something wrong with my nose?
Yeah.
All that thing started.
Yeah, people ask these questions. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So last week, so we discussed about the two different approaches in explaining the possible reasons for the origin of this existence, for the origin of this universe, origin of our existence in this universe. And the two possible approaches are science and religion. So in science, we discussed Big Bang theory, evolution theory, chance theory, and we, within a minute or two, we ruled out all those three theories, saying that they don't make sense. And then we started discussing about the religious approach, establishing the point that God is the reason for, or God is the cause of all causes. Sarva karana karanam. God is the creator. He's the creator of everything, in the spirit, in the material world. And we established this point using some aspects, right? Creation implies creator. Organizer implies organization implies organizer, and laws imply lawmaker. Controller, no.
Designer.
Designer, yeah, very good. Design implies designer, things like that. Okay, and then yeah, I think this is where we stopped. Supreme enjoyer. So that's when Jagdish asked a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had a big discussion.
We had a
That
big
was really
discussion on that.
insightful.
Yeah. Okay. So God, by definition, He is, the first one is, okay, let me share for online. So the first definition of God, the first criteria for anybody to be called as God is creator. He should be the creator of everything, the supreme creator. Sarva karana karanam. Cause of all causes. Sarva karana karanam. He is the cause of everything in the material world, both moving and non-moving, the living beings and the matter also. Okay. And then the next definition is, the next criteria is supreme proprietor. Because God has created everything, He is the owner, He is the proprietor. And then because he has created and he owns everything. He gets to enjoy everything. He's the supreme enjoyer. And there's one more, supreme controller. Yeah, supreme controller. Okay. So supreme creator, supreme proprietor, supreme controller, supreme enjoyer. 4 things: creator, proprietor, controller, enjoyer. Okay. And the important thing is it's either all or none. You cannot say that okay, even though I have not created, but I get to enjoy things. You cannot enjoy unless you own it. And similarly, controllership. You cannot control things unless you have created. You cannot control things unless you own it. Okay. For example, this phone, because I own it, I can control. I can put a password and I can change the settings. I can control the way I want. But somebody else cannot claim that they can control it. So unless you own it, you cannot control. And to own it, you should create it. So it's either all or none. Okay. So this is what we discussed so far. So definition of God, we can remember it using an abbreviation, SPEC. SPEC, SPEC. Okay, that's how we define anything, right? Whenever we define anything, we look at the spec. So spec, S for source or the creator, and then P, proprietor, E, enjoyer, C, controller. Okay. But how do I know him? Okay, so now after discussing the two approaches, science and religion, it makes more sense to believe in God than science. It makes more sense to believe that God is the root cause of all the creation than to believe in Big Bang theory or evolution theory or chance theory. Okay? Okay, fine. Now we believe that God exists. But how do I know him? Okay? So in Vedas, it is described there are 3 ways to acquire knowledge. Any knowledge, whether it is material knowledge or spiritual knowledge, there are 3 different methods by which one can acquire knowledge. Okay, let's say we want to know about a tree. Okay, you are walking in a garden and then you see one beautiful tree. You want to know about the tree. There are 3 different ways how you can acquire knowledge about the tree. Okay, or when you want to know about God, there are 3 different methods. Okay, so the first one is pratyaksha praman. Sense perception. Aksha means eye, and eye is one of the senses. So that's why the name Pratyaksha. Using our different senses, we learn, we acquire knowledge about something. Okay, you see an object, you acquire some knowledge about it. You hear something, you acquire knowledge about it. You taste something. For example, you taste gulab jamun, and you acquire knowledge saying that it is sweet. You touch the gulab jamun, you acquire knowledge that it is soft. Okay. So using our 5 senses, eyes, nose, tongue, ears, and touch. Using these 5 senses, the knowledge that these 5 senses are called knowledge acquiring senses, jnanendriyas. So using these 5 senses, we acquire knowledge about everything in our world. Okay. Sense perception. This is called sense perception. For example, a child, a newborn baby, as the baby grows, the baby simply hears and learns. Okay, the mother or father, they do not tell everything in an instructive manner. Okay, this is how you eat. Okay, but first you put your hand in the plate, take a morsel of food, and then put it in your mouth, you chew, and then let it, let it be absorbed in your body. You don't actually teach like that. The baby or the child watches the parents how they are doing and learns many things. Monkey see, monkey do. The baby monkey sees the mother monkey do things, and the baby monkey does things. Monkey see, monkey do. So, so that's what Pratyaksha Praman is. For example, there's a tree here. So what do you see in this tree here? Branches. Hmm?
There are faces.
There are also faces. Neha, did you see faces? No? You still don't see faces?
Trying to see.
By the way, are you seeing faces?
Gandhiji and all those leaders are there.
Yes.
Okay, Ravi, what do you see here?
Faces. Once you said faces, then I start seeing it.
Okay, yeah. See, that's a proof that we acquire knowledge with our senses. So Ravi heard Abhilash saying that there are faces, then he started seeing faces. Before that, probably he did not see faces. Now Neha, slowly she started seeing the faces. Okay, that is
I
fine.
see 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, that's my next question. How many faces do you see? Ravi, you also count.
11. At least 11.
I think.
Yeah, 11. Indira Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, Nehru, Gandhiji, and Bal Gangadhar Tilak,
Yeah.
and I think Shastriji is also there.
I
Yeah,
see
I think
10.
this.
I see 10
You see
faces.
10. You see 10.
I
You see 10?
I see.
Okay. You see 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is the first time I got the correct answer as 11.
11?
Yeah. So Gandhi, and then on the left side of Gandhi, right side of Gandhi, you see two, right? I don't know their names. I think one must be Rabindranath Tagore. The one on the left is
Rabindranath Tagore.
huh?
Rabindranath Tagore.
Yeah, that's Rabindranath Tagore. And the one on the left is Lokmanya Tilak.
Lokman.
Yeah, okay. And right below Lokmanya Tilak, Nehru.
Nehru.
And then
Right
below Nehru,
Bal
Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Yes. And then right below Bal Gangadhar Tilak, I don't know. He's actually at the stem of the tree. And then towards the right of the stem of the tree, Indira Gandhi. And right above Indira Gandhi, Sardar, no, I think Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Radhakrishnan. Yeah, the one who is wearing glasses and pagdi. Okay, and then the one above Radhakrishnan is
I think Bal Gangadhar Tilak or Bipin Chandra.
no, Bal Gangadhar Tilak is on below Nehru. Okay, I think the one above Radhakrishnan, if I am correct, it's Tantiya Tope. Okay, and then above Tantiya Tope is Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, so there are 11. Now, do you see Neha?
I don't know all the names.
But at least, do you see 11 now?
No, I see 10 still.
You still see 10? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Interesting. Now I'm seeing 10.
Where's the 11th one hiding? Where do you see it? The one that is not obvious. Then
Yeah, it's actually 10. Yeah,
okay.
it's actually 10. You're right. Yeah. Okay, so now what do we understand? from this exercise.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like once you know that there are faces, now if I'm trying to just see branches, I'm not seeing.
Yeah, you cannot
I'm
see
seeing
that.
the faces.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is illusion, right? So this exercise proves that our senses are limited. We acquire knowledge using our senses. That's why they are called jnanendriyas, knowledge acquiring senses. But the problem is senses have limitations. One of the limitations is illusion. Okay, so we see, some people see it as a tree, some people see there are faces on the branches of the tree, and some people count them as 11, some people count them as 10. So this is all illusion. Okay.
Or perception.
Huh?
Or perception. And you say, as listening to someone, then he said, we never really know the truth about anything.
Yeah.
We always have, each individual person has its own perception towards looking at a thing.
Yeah.
But that thing, no one knows the truth about it.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
But something is true by itself, but all individual people have their own perception.
Yeah.
Regarding their conditions and everything.
Yeah. So if they acquire knowledge using senses, yes, because senses have limitations. So let's see what are the different limitations of senses. There are many things that we cannot see. There are many subtle things that we cannot see, but they exist. For example, air, we cannot see, but it exists. Mind, we cannot see, it exists. Soul, it exists, we cannot see it. Okay. Ether, ether exists, but we cannot see. By the way, what is ether? Space. Yeah. Intelligence, we cannot see. So the scripture says that there are 4 defects. Senses have 4 defects: imperfect senses, illusion, we tend to commit mistakes, and cheating propensity. These are the 4 defects. Imperfect senses. That means the ability of these senses is not perfect. For example, ears, they can hear sounds only up to certain frequency. They cannot hear ultrasonic sounds, or what's the other, infrasonic sounds. They can only hear normal sounds. But dogs and snakes, they have higher ability of hearing. Okay, more than dogs, it is snakes actually. So snakes have the highest ability of hearing. And smell. Okay, so smell, we can smell certain things, we cannot smell certain things. And if you look at dog, there are sniffer dogs who can smell and detect things. Okay, and we are illusioned. So for example, when we are traveling in a desert, so all of a sudden from far distance, it appears as if there is a pool of water. But as you keep driving and go near that pool of water, you realize that it's not actually pool of water, but it's a mirage. So that's an illusion. And then after some time, you keep driving, and after some time, you see another mirage. You think that there is another pool of water. But when you go near that pool of water, you realize it's a mirage. Okay. So life is full of these, illusions. You cross one illusion, and then you are bombarded with another illusion. Okay. And we commit mistakes. To err is human, as they say. To err is human. Cheating propensity, especially in this Kali Yuga, people cheat all the time. There are cheaters and cheated. As long as there are cheaters, as long as there are cheated, there are cheaters. People. That means people who want to cheat others. Why do they want to cheat others? Because there are people who are ready to be cheated. If there are no scapegoats, then the cheater cannot cheat anybody, right? So there are people who are ready to be cheated, who are looking for shortcuts, who are looking for workarounds, who are looking for, achieving things without working hard. When people have these type of goals, obviously there'll be cheaters who attract these cheaters with some attractive things. But what the cheaters promise is not actually true. Most of the times what the cheaters promise, it's not true. But the people who are getting cheated, they simply fall trap for these allurements given by the cheaters, and then they get cheated. So as long as there are cheated, there will be cheaters. So we think the problem is with the cheaters. We think the cheaters are the culprits. But as much as the cheaters are the culprits, so as the cheated as well. But generally what people think, cheaters are the culprits and cheated are the victims. But both are equally culprits. Okay. But if a person believes in working hard and following the shastras and doing things, then there's no question of getting cheated. And there will not be cheaters. Yeah. So because our senses have these 4 defects, any knowledge that we acquire using our senses is not perfect. Okay? Yes, we get some knowledge when we engage our senses to acquire knowledge. Yes, we get some knowledge, but it's not perfect because our senses are not perfect. Okay, so the next method to acquire knowledge is Anuman Praman. Anuman means logic or analytical understanding or reasoning. Okay. So based on your past knowledge of various things, you apply some logic or reasoning, and you do some analysis, and you come to a conclusion saying that okay, this may be like this may be like that. Okay, speculation basically, just like how scientists speculate things in coming up with some theories. So we speculate many things in this life. Okay, so you use your logic or analytical understanding. For example, when you are driving, so you see big smoke coming from far distance. So based on your past experience, you can apply some reasoning or some speculation saying that okay, maybe there is a fire, maybe there's some house caught fire, and that's why there is a big smoke. But there are other possible reasons why there is fire, and there is why there is smoke. Maybe there is a factory that is extinguishing smoke, or chimneys are there. Okay, or maybe maybe a house or something caught fire genuinely. That's why there is a big smoke. But based on our past experience and understanding of things, we speculate and come to some conclusion. But that may not be true, right? When you go near that place, you will know what it is. So this method of acquiring knowledge is also not perfect. For example,
Also, one thing that I think that Hanuman Brahman,
yeah,
I think I'm speaking a lot today.
yeah, no, it's good. That's what I want.
Brahman is like, for example, when there is a smoke, then we say that there is fire.
Yeah,
We never know why the fire is.
yeah,
Once we go along, we find out that there can be various sources of fire.
yeah,
But we try to stick to the point and fact that we look why said that there was fire.
yeah,
So there's a bigger story of all that thing, but you're only trying to prove what you said. So you're always trying to prove that
You are
but
correct.
your point is right.
Yes. Yeah, it's a beautiful point
Irrespective
actually.
of
Yeah.
all the other XYZ things.
Yes.
It's always focused on what I said and look how this
Yeah.
is right.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful point. Yeah.
That's why it says that it's not the holistic thing, because you're not looking at the entire thing in totality
Yeah.
of what it is.
Yeah. Unless you have a bigger picture, how can we say that it's because of a house that caught fire? So, and as you mentioned, we always try to prove our point is correct.
Our point is
Yeah, and that's how the fights and arguments, the conflicts arise in the society. So when two people are trying to prove their point is correct, that's when a conflict arises. So the uh, goal should not be to prove that you are correct. Goal should be to prove what is correct. Goal should be to prove what is right. It's not to prove that I am correct. What I am saying is correct. My perception is correct, and everybody should listen to my opinion. Yeah.
also a funny thing about these senses is that we try to understand things. For example, as you were mentioning that some sweet is there.
Yeah.
So as long as we try to question it, we try to know it. And I heard this from some other source that we just try to understand things on a very superficial level.
Yeah.
We just try to satisfy our mind.
Yes.
It's a sweet. Okay, now I know it's a sweet. I don't need to know really about it.
Yeah.
And you'll stop right there.
Yeah.
Until unless you completely know about it, internalize things.
Yeah.
The mind is the mind seems or perceive that knowledge or statistics or facts is something that it helps understand.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest barrier in actually knowing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as soon as you start with facts,
Yeah.
then your brain gets a signal that now you know it.
Yes.
But that's actually stopping you from knowing it.
Yeah.
Actually knowing it and internalizing it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So now when you look at this picture, it tells us how our logic or reasoning or speculation may not be correct all the time. So there are some blind people here who are trying to acquire knowledge about a gigantic object that they encountered with. So these blind people, they are walking, and then all of a sudden they encountered with this gigantic object. So one blind person, he touches the tail of the elephant, and then he thinks it's a rope or snake. And the person who is holding the trunk, he thinks it is something else. And the person who is holding the tusk of the elephant, he thinks something else. And another blind person holding the big ear of the elephant, and he thinks something else. And a person who is holding the huge body of the elephant, he thinks it's a wall. Okay, so somebody thinks of the trunk as a snake, and then somebody mistakes the tail to be a rope, somebody mistakes the ear to be a fan, somebody mistakes the legs to be the trunks of the tree, somebody mistakes the body of the elephant as wall, and so on. So the question is, are they correct or not?
Yeah, I mean, in their own way, I guess. Like, there's no such thing as correct and incorrect, it's just perception.
Yeah. So they're partially correct.
The point that I was saying makes very sense here. As long as the person has the tail,
Yeah.
they felt that okay, it's a rope, and
Yeah.
now they think that okay, now I know it's a rope, and then they leave it.
Yeah.
And now then try to convince everyone that that's a rope.
Yeah.
Rather, if they would have stick there and touched the other part, they would have
Yeah.
built the entire picture of it.
Yeah. So we are not ready to listen. We are not ready to listen. Whatever I am saying, yeah, that's correct. That's a problem in the society. Okay. So yeah, if we ask if they're right or wrong, yes, they are right and wrong. Yes and no. They're partially correct, partially not correct. Based on their limited knowledge, whatever they are saying and whatever they are concluding is correct. Okay, but it is imperfect because it's they are partially correct, so it's imperfect. The knowledge that they acquire using their anuman praman, logic or reasoning or speculation, is imperfect. So the second method is also imperfect. So what are the two methods?
The first is senses.
Hmm?
The first one was senses.
Senses, yeah.
Senses are not always logical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, senses are not perfect.
Perfect. Yes,
Yeah.
not always perfect.
Senses have defects. Yeah. And the second one is reasoning or speculation, logic, anuman praman. So pratyaksha praman and anuman praman. Now the third method is shabda praman, hearing from authority. And this is the most authentic way of acquiring knowledge in material life as well as spiritual life. In material life, if a child wants to know who is the father, there are two approaches. One is the child can, you know, can can get DNA sampling from possible, let's say, 1,000 or 2,000 men, and then spend his whole lifetime in figuring out who is the father. The second approach is simply ask the mother. Simply ask the mother and know who is the father. So that saves the time, and that is the most authentic way of acquiring knowledge. For the child, the most authentic way of knowing about the father is asking the mother, hearing from the mother. So even in spiritual world, when we accept an authority and hear from the authority, that's the most authentic way of knowing about God. Remember, that's how we began the discussion, right? We believe that yes, God exists, but how do I know Him? And different people in the society, they are trying different ways to know about God. All the Jnana yogis, people who are cultivating knowledge about God, are the so-called impersonalists, Mayavadis. Most of the times, their attempt of knowing about God is speculation. They think, oh, maybe God is like this, maybe God is like that, God is Nirakar, God is Nirguna, maybe God has form, maybe God does not have form. Huh? Maybe God eats, maybe God does not eat, maybe God sleeps, maybe God does not sleep. So different speculations. Whatever makes sense to that person, they think that is correct.
As per their convenience.
Yeah. Yatamat tatapat.
Yeah.
Whatever I think is correct.
As per my thinking, God is like that.
God is
Or
like
I
that.
don't think God would do like this or
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. So that's not the correct way of knowing God. So when we have questions like this in life, who is God, who am I, what is matter, what is spirit, what is the purpose of my existence?
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
So I've had this question a lot of times in my
Yeah.
life that there are, like, say some people are born in extreme poverty, and I know that is like a karma, like
Yeah.
because of the past accumulated karma, you are born
Yeah.
in that space in like tough situations.
Yeah.
But does God test everybody in that hardship to see if they have any faith to come out of that situation? Like, does God, like for example, does everybody in life have once faced a birth where they were born in poverty
Yeah.
and were tested, and then they grew into like a higher, like they became a part of a big, like a good family or like educated people?
Yeah.
Or is there like a system, or is it like everybody was born happy,
Yeah.
but then some people, because of their karma, accumulated their karma in poverty, and then
Yeah.
others went?
Okay.
How is that?
Okay, so it's 10:48. So let me see where we are at with regards to the flow of this session. We'll stop at some point and then take your question.
I have to leave at 11:15.
11:15?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we can. Uh, okay, so we'll continue the discussion for a few more minutes, and then 5 to 7 minutes we'll continue the discussion, and then we'll discuss your question. Okay?
Sure.
Yeah. So that we're not interrupting the flow of the topic. So. So when we have questions like this in life, the best approach is to hear from an authority, accept an authority, accept a bona fide authority, an authentic source, and then hear from them. Okay. So Vedas. So what is that authority that we are talking about? It is the Vedas. So hear from the Vedas. Vedas are an incarnation of. They are the literary incarnation of God. Now we see different incarnations of God, right? So the same Krishna who incarnated as Vishnu, and Vishnu incarnated as so many other forms like Matsya Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, Narasimha, Parashurama, Ramachandra, and so on. Similarly, God has also incarnated, or he has taken avatar as Vedas. It is the literary incarnation of God. Vedas are the literary incarnation of God. How many Vedas we have? 4 Vedas. What are the 4 Vedas? Adar, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Rigveda. Yeah. Okay, 4 Vedas. So there are 2 systems of gaining knowledge: inductive and deductive. Arohana, Avarohana. So inductive is uh, is it top to bottom or bottom up? Inductive. These words are a little confusing. Which one is top to bottom and which one is bottom up? Deductive. Yeah. So inductive is top to bottom approach. You start with something, just like how scientists, they start with something and then they evolve into a bigger thing. Okay. So it's inductive, top to bottom approach. Sorry, uh, bottom to top approach. Inductive is bottom up approach. You start with small thing at the bottom and then it evolves into a big thing. Okay. And deductive is the opposite,
Start with big.
top to bottom. Yes, you start at a higher level and then go to the bottom of it. Avarohana. Avarohana is descending. Arohana is ascending. Okay. Ascending. Aroha. Just like scientists, they start with something, small thing, and then evolve into a big thing. And then the opposite of is deductive, Avaroha Paddhati. So when we learn spiritual knowledge by reading Vedas or by hearing from an authentic or bona fide guru, that is deductive way of acquiring knowledge, descending approach, Avaroha Paddhati. Okay. For example, in this picture, uh, the saintly person in like bluish color, purple color, bluish color, sitting on the Vasasana and giving a pravachan, he is only 16 years old. Sutta Goswami, he is only 16 years old. But whereas all the saintly people, they are of elderly. They are of very elderly age compared to him. But even though he is 16 years old, he has the knowledge. He has the knowledge and he comes in a bona fide lineage. He comes in a parampara. That's why all the elderly people, they have sat down and then they are listening from that 16-year-old boy, Sutta Goswami, who narrated Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? And the one right in front of Sutta Goswami is King Parikshit. So King Parikshit, he was given a curse to die in 7 days. Now the king decided to ask a saintly person what is best for him to do in the last 7 days. He knows that he has only 7 days. Now what can I do in the last 7 days? So when he asked the saintly person, Sutta Goswami narrated the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 shlokas. Okay, telling what is best for mankind. Huh? How can a person be happy all the time? How can a person achieve eternal happiness? What is Shreyas? What is Preyas? What is temporary happiness? What is permanent happiness? Who is God? How to worship God? How to reach God? So he narrated all those things in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so this is deductive way of learning knowledge, descending. To learn the truth by accepting an authority and inquiring from him. So, for example, if there is an ant in a room, in a corner of a room, the ant with its own endeavor cannot know about the whereabouts of where the ant is. The ant cannot know the size of the room. Ant cannot know the longitude and latitude.
Its location.
Its location, yeah. Ant cannot know anything actually. And we discuss the reasons why our ability to acquire knowledge about things using our sense perception and logic or reasoning or speculation, how it is imperfect. We discuss that. Okay, so the best approach here is to accept an authority. So when an insignificant ant cannot know about an insignificant place such as a small room, then how can we who are insignificant souls, who are insignificant jivas in this material world, how can we know about a gigantic person as God? Okay, we cannot know. With our own efforts, we cannot know. That's why give a chance to this deductive method of acquiring knowledge, Avarohana Paddhati, accept an authority and acquire knowledge. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka in chapter 4, 34th shloka, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Neha, can you read the translation?
Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
They have seen the truth. Yeah. So the process of acquiring knowledge from a learned person or from a saintly person is we have to submissively ask questions. We cannot ask questions in a challenging mood or in a argumentative, with an argumentative mentality. Uh, so uh, we cannot go to somebody saying that I already know everything. There is one little thing that I don't know, so let me go and ask him. We cannot go with that mentality. We should go with a mentality that I do not know anything. I'm an insignificant soul and I don't know anything. So I want to learn from you. So we have to approach a learned person with that mentality and ask questions submissively and render some service. So that that saintly person is pleased and he will deliver the knowledge to you. He will impart the knowledge to you. Okay, so two things, two qualifications here that Krishna is talking about is submissive inquiry and service. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Pariprashna and seva. Pariprashna means submissive inquiry. We can ask questions, but in a submissive mode. And then sevaya, we should render some service. When we see a guru, saintly person, we should render some service. You can take some fruits or something, or you can offer a garland. Uh, anything that the guru wants, you can offer some service, so that the guru is pleased, and then he will impart the knowledge to you. So these are the two qualifications of a seeker: pariprashna and seva, submissive inquiry and service. So the benefits of hearing from authority to acquire knowledge is it saves time and inconvenience. And this is our best choice. Now if somebody says, oh, why should I accept an authority? Or another problem that can arise is, because in this age, we do not know who is authentic, who is not authentic, right? Because everybody can claim that they are God, or they are God men, or many people can claim that they are saintly people, but internally they may not be saintly people. Okay, so how do we know who is authentic, who is not authentic? uh, so for that there is another pramana, that is called anubhava pramana. See, we talked about three pramanas now, right? Pratyaksha praman, anuman praman, shabda praman. Shabda praman is what? You accept a person as an authority and you hear from him. But what's the guarantee that this person is authentic? What is the guarantee that he is genuine? What's the guarantee that whatever he is telling is truth? So for that, you use anubhava praman. That means experiential knowledge. Shabda praman is highest. Shabda praman is higher than the other two methods. But to verify if Shabda praman is authentic or not, you use your anubhava praman, experiential knowledge. You accept somebody as an authority, you hear from them, and then as time progresses, you will come to know whether whatever that person has told you is correct or not. For example, if somebody tells you cow dung is antiseptic, so what is that? That is Shabda Praman. You are hearing from an authentic person, from an authority. You accepted a person as authority and you heard it from him. That person told you that cow dung is antiseptic. Now how do you verify that? You get some cow dung and you verify. You put it on some wounds, or you put it in front of your house, and you verify that it protects your house from any bacteria, any insects, and so on. That is anubhava praman. You learn from your own experience. You learn from your experience. That is the highest pramana. Anubhava pramana is the highest pramana, especially in Kali Yuga. In the previous Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, people were genuine. They were authentic. Whatever they said, that was true actually. But in Kali Yuga, we can't trust anybody. Everybody has cheating propensity. That's why use your anubhava praman to verify things. You read Bhagavad Gita, there are 700 different commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Now how do I know which one is authentic? Now ISKCON, when you come to ISKCON is saying that our Bhagavad Gita is the most authentic. That's why we are calling it as Bhagavad Gita as it is. But how does somebody know that this is authentic? You give a chance to this Bhagavad Gita, you experiment, you practice it for some time, 6 months, 1 year, and then you will know whether it makes sense to you or not. Whether you will know whether it is giving the results properly or not. Anubhava praman. Okay? Okay, so it's 11:04. We'll stop here. We'll stop here and then discuss your question. Okay. Yes. So, can you repeat the question again?
Yes. Um, so some people are born in extreme poverty, very difficult situations.
Yeah.
When you will read about the news or you just see the news or some video or something, you yourself get so disturbed, just thinking like, why would somebody go through so much?
Yeah.
So why are they so like are they put in like trial times to test their faith in God to get out of that situation? And does every person who is living on this planet, including you, me, him, anybody,
Yeah.
were they all born at some point in a difficult time where they are where they were tested on their faith
Yeah.
to come into a better situation, or was everybody born fine, like everybody was given equal opportunity, but people created poverty, rich, and all that
Yeah.
based on their karma?
Yeah. So it is karma. And yes, everybody was given equal opportunity. So God is an equal opportunity employer. Okay. So that's why in the very first life in the material world, we were all Brahmas. You were a Brahma. You were a Brahma. I was a Brahma in the very first life. I had 4 heads, or 3 heads, or maybe 8 heads. Okay? So we were all Brahmas in the very first life. When we fell from spiritual world into material world, the very first life that everybody acquires is Brahma. Okay?
So one question, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
why did we fall from the spiritual
Spiritual world. Yes. Okay. So I'll come back to that, or maybe let's discuss this and then we'll continue with your other question. So the reason why we fall from spiritual world to material world is, in the spiritual world there is Krishna or Vishnu, Narayana, Rama. There is God. There is Supreme God, and then all of us, we were there in the spiritual world with God. We were serving God. We were all happy. Huh? But all of us, we had free will, limited free will. So some souls, when they misuse their free will, thinking that, why should I serve God? Why can't everybody serve me? Why can't I become God? Every day Krishna is asking me, fetch water, fetch some clothes, fetch some fruits, fetch some flowers. Why should I bring everything to him? Why can't everybody else serve me? Why can't I become God? Why can't I enjoy like God? So some souls, they misuse their free will. And the moment a soul gets a thought that, oh, why can't I become God? Then God sends that person to the material world, saying that, okay, you want to become God? Okay, go to the material world and experiment. If you can become God, I have created a Disney world for you. I have created all the infrastructure for you to experiment and figure out whether you can become God or not. I'm not forcing anything on you. You have the freedom to put your own endeavor and then figure out if you can become God. That's why we fall into the material world, and then once we take birth in the material world, all the time what we are doing, we are trying to become God. We are trying to lord over the material nature. We're trying to control things. Huh? And that's why we suffer. Because the reality is, we cannot control things. We cannot lord over the material nature. But when we are trying to do that, when we are trying to become God and lord over the material nature and control things and people, that's when we face problems. So, so that's the reason how we fell from spiritual world into material world. And does everyone fall from spiritual world into material world? No. The majority of the people are up there. We are minority. Just like in any city, the number of people in the prison house are small. Majority of the people who are outside the prison house, they are majority. The population in the prison houses is very small. For example, Seattle. What's the population of Seattle? Some 10 million? Maybe, let's say 10 million. Whereas the population of the people in the prison house, maybe 10,000 or less than that. So, yeah. So that's why we are minority. We, the bad people, we are the minority. The good people who are up there in the spiritual world, who are serving the Lord still, they are majority. So,
are they just souls? Do they have any form? The ones in the spiritual world?
yes,
They have a form.
they have a form.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like some light or ghost type of form that we see in movies, right? No, they have a form. And that form is much more beautiful than the most beautiful or handsome person in the world. So it's much more beautiful. And there are different planets in spiritual world. In Vaikunta, where Vishnu or Narayana resides, a person has a form that is exactly like the form of the Lord. So one gets a form that is exactly like the form of the Lord. Now we all know, listening to some bhajans or kirtans or some shlokas, we all know how beautiful the Lord is. Uh, there's a kirtan or bhajan on Krishna, Madhurashtakam. Adharam Maduram Vadanam Maduram Gamanam Maduram Hasitam Maduram Madhuradipaterakilam Maduram. The Lord's face is sweet or beautiful. The Lord's smile is sweet or beautiful. The Lord's walking is beautiful. Huh? Everything about Lord is beautiful. So in Vaikunta, a person gets the form of the Lord. Now you can imagine how beautiful that can be. Okay, so they have form. So as soon as a person develops the desire that I want to become God, they come to the material world, and that is the beginning of karma. That is the beginning of the karma cycle. So, and after falling into the material world, taking the first life as Brahma, we commit some mistakes, we do some good things, we do some bad things, and then we incur some sinful reactions. And then we go through several millions of lifetimes, incurring further karma, both good and bad. And then whenever we do good karma, we enjoy from the results. Whenever we do bad karma, we suffer. So the people who are poverty stricken, they are not put into that situation by God to increase their faith. They are put into that situation because of their own karma. Because of what they have done in the previous lifetime, they are put into that situation. See, now we are seeing two extremes, right? One extreme is there is an opulent thali where there are 124. There is a chappan bhog, 56 items are served in a restaurant in a golden or silver plate. So on one side we can see a person who can enjoy 56 items in a golden plate, whereas another person who is struggling for one meal, poverty stricken, even though there is food available in the world everywhere, but we see a person he is struggling because that is his karma. Because of whatever he has done in the previous lifetime, he is put into that situation. And whatever we are doing now in this lifetime, we are actually shaping our next life. Whatever we did in the past life, we created our own karma or our own destiny in this lifetime. And whatever we are doing now, we are creating our destiny in the next life. So does that answer your question? So because it's not because of God put them in that situation to increase their faith. God is equal to everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu is equal to all living entities. In fact, he's equal to people who are good and bad also. He gives equal opportunities to everyone. That's why Bhagavad Gita is accessible to everyone, both good people and bad people. But it's up to you whether you want to read it or not. God does not force. He gives the opportunities, but He does not force. He gives you the choices, but He does not force you to make a particular choice. Yeah. There's a free will, right? And wherever there is love, there is free will. Without free will, it's not called love, it's dictatorship. Yeah. So, and you asked something else, right?
No, I
Or
think
was that all
that
about?
this is
That's all
yes.
about. Yeah, yeah. And we'll learn more about this when we come to a topic called why do bad things happen to good people? That's our fourth or fifth topic. So when we come to the topic, we'll discuss more about that.
Right.
The
And
different.
last time you mentioned that there are eight or nine things
Mhm.
that you have to do to get closer to God, right?
Yeah,
Kirtan, bhakti.
yeah.
Yes. So is meditation also a part of those nine things?
Yes, meditation is part of that, but the kind of meditation that is mentioned there is smarana. Okay, so the nine processes are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Padasevanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Vandanam, Atmanivedanam. Nine processes. So out of which Smaranam is equivalent to meditation. So meditation is what? You're focusing on one thing, right? Either people can focus on one particular object, or uh, you just meditate on void. You just meditate on void, right? There are some schools who teach meditating on void, shunyam. That means you just imagine some vacuum. How can you, first of all, how can you even imagine vacuum? Okay. Now forget about
Vipassana meditation.
huh?
In Vipassana, they practice
Vipassana.
Vipassana.
Yeah, yeah,
Buddhist philosophy, they practice in front of a wall. You
yeah,
just have to sit on the chair and look
yeah,
at the wall
yeah.
for the entire
So
day.
that wall is also an object.
Yes.
Now, what happens when you start focusing on the wall? All different kinds of thoughts come into your mind. Oh, is this wall smooth, or the surface is little hard, little rough? What type of the paint and texture is there? Huh? When this wall was built, all those thoughts will keep coming to your mind. So it is impossible to imagine vacuum or void. Now forget about even meditating on void. That's why the so-called meditation itself is very difficult to practice. It's only suitable for yogis who have stopped eating, who have stopped drinking, who even stop breathing. Okay? So when they stop breathing, only then they can focus on void. Yeah. They can stop breathing and live for 6 months or 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Without breathing.
Without breathing.
They get prana from
So our lifespan, when we say
One
lifespan,
question I have on that.
yeah,
So when you talk about the spiritual world, do people breathe there or people don't breathe?
in spiritual world,
Yeah.
yes.
So why do they have thoughts in spiritual world?
Why do they have?
Thoughts.
Why do they have thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so when we talk about love, right? So what are the three things that are there in love? What are the three objects or three entities that are there in love?
It's unconditional.
No, the three objects or three not people, but three objects, three entities.
They're in love.
Hmm.
I don't think I understand the question.
Okay, so
the
whenever we
person
talk
who
about
is loving, the
ah
person who is loved, and the love
yes,
itself, I think.
yes, very good.
Okay.
Yeah, the lover, the beloved, and the love itself, the act of loving itself.
Okay.
Okay, so now when the lover says to the beloved, "Oh, I love you," that's not enough, right? The lover has to perform an action. Love is not noun, love is verb. Now, when the lover has to perform an action, the lover has to think, "Oh, what my beloved person will like? What action will please my beloved?" Okay, I want to get some flowers for my beloved person. But what type of flowers will my beloved like? So you have to think. So unless you think, you cannot act. That's why in the spiritual world, there are thoughts. There are thoughts to perform the act of love. Now, who are we loving? We are loving God. We are serving God. We are serving God with love. Now, to serve God with love, you need to think. What will please my Lord the most? Okay, if I make garland in this way, will it please him the most? Or will I make garland using different flowers? It will please him the most. Will I cook the gulab jamun in this way? It will please the Lord. Or will I cook the gulab jamun in with a different recipe? Will it please the Lord? So these are the thoughts. So you have thoughts, feelings, everything is there in spiritual world. So wherever there is love, there are thoughts, there are feelings. So the symptoms of uh, the symptoms of consciousness is thinking, feeling, and willing. Thinking, feeling, and willing. These are the three things. In material world also, right? Before you actually do anything, you start thinking about it. You contemplate on things, and then after some time, you feel for it. You feel that, oh, maybe I should do it. If I do this, I'll be happy. Finally, willing to do it. For example, you see somebody doing MBA. Now you start thinking about it. Even though it's not required for you, you're already working in some corporate company, maybe it's not required for you to sustain in your position. But you start thinking about it. Then the more you hear about the benefits of doing MBA, thinking that, okay, so it will increase my salary and I can get promotion easily. Then you feel about it. You feel that it's good for me. You feel that doing MBA will be actually beneficial for me. Then finally you will be willing to do it. So thinking, feeling, and willing. These are the three different things. So yeah. Did I answer you that question? Yeah. Now you asked after the first question, you asked another one, and then you asked the third one.
No, I think that was the last one.
Oh yeah, smarana, meditation.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, meditation. In the 9 processes is meditation there. Yes, the smarana. Smarana is nothing but meditation. But the beauty about this smarana is we are not meditating on void. We are not meditating on vacuum. We are meditating on the features of the Lord. We are meditating on the qualities of the Lord. Now, when you go and take the darshan in the temple hall, you can see how beautiful the form of the Lord is. Now, when you go home also, you can meditate on that beautiful form of the Lord. So that is smarana.
In front of the Lord, we generally close our eyes.
Yeah. People close their eyes when they go in front of the Lord. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay?
Yes.
Sure. Thank you. So we'll stop here. We'll
I'll
continue
see you
next.
next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Prabhuji, see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Okay? Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.